Comedy Mushroom Cole podcast. Oh goodness gracious. We're giggly because I just did a little something for me. God forbid we do something for ourselves from time to time. Just a nice little joke that I'll probably forget about until I edit the video for this. Look at us, 2 weeks in a row with video. Come on now. We're cooking. We're cooking with gas here. Still getting confused by where I'm supposed to be looking. Cause honestly, like, the audio is the most important thing to me. It might not always seem like it, but that's the one thing that I like actually try. Like the video, I add like the little logo watermark kind of thing on there just in case anybody sees it and is wondering where it's coming from. But the audio, I like actually like clip and zhuzh up the normalizing. We use a compressor, I make sure that like the levels are okay. We adjust it as we move along, and I know that it doesn't always seem like it, but we're out here trying. So like, I don't know, what do you want from me? All we can do is try. Like, this is the conversation that I had with Ashley earlier. Not to like, whatever, it's everybody's always trying to get into a better habit of life, and our schedules are crazy, especially since the move. She has to go work at her school half the week, so she's driving up to Wisconsin a good amount. Like, she drives up Tuesday, comes back Thursday. If you're an assassin trying to kill her, don't. You don't need to know the exact times that she's doing things. We'll definitely get to that. But no, it's like, so she has to drive, and she's not used to driving that much. Like, I drive all around the country. Like 2-3 hours isn't the end of the world to me. Stuff like that. But like 2 hours is a lot. Like over a 3-day span for some people. So like that's quite, like, some people don't even drive 2 hours away from home ever in their entire life, let alone driving there and driving back in the same week every week. And so she's just getting more tired, and it's trying to figure out like a structure to help her sleep better and be less run down at the end of the week. And the thing that I said, because it's easier to say things than to do them, and giving people advice is not always what people want, but I think it's a good piece of advice of like that's why you like find a plan. Like, because she said, and I've had troubles with it too. I know a lot of people, especially I think it might be our generation specifically, have like a problem doing like a middle ground thing. Like, we're either on or we're off. Like, it's very hard to do things like moderately. Like, when I have to do it at my day job of like, no, we're not going to do the best at this today. We're not going to do the best at this ever. This is just to pay bills. We have to be the best at like the thing that we want to be the best at. This serves its purpose. But it's very hard because like we grew up where it's like you have to earn everything and blah blah. Like, we got fucking participation trophies, 3.5. We made it 3 minutes. That's cool. Whatever. That's a new record, and I was kind of keeping track of it. And if it happened before the 3.5 minute mark, let me know. Throw a comment somewhere and let me know if you caught it before that, or just fact check me, double check me. Just leave like a message underneath something and be like, hey, 3.5 minutes is when you said fuck first, or like 3 minutes after we trim up, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like we had participation trophies, but like we still had to participate, and like you still tried very, very hard. As the winner of the Bucky Marshall Award in 2001, 2002. Maybe the only award I should have probably kept, because every time I went back home before the house I grew up in was sold, that's the only award that I had up on the wall still, was the Bucky Marshall Award. And the thing is, like, whether I win or lose is unimportant, but like I'm going to try my best every time. And I mean, like, that's like ingrained in us. Like, whatever you're going to do, be the best at it. And it's like, sometimes I just need to be a worker at the Bears games. I don't need to be the best worker at the Bears game. Like, what are they going to do? Be mad that I'm not good at the thing that I don't want to do? Woo. Like, we have to be okay with that. but like that's the thing with like setting up a plan. Like we know better now. We're like in our mid-30s. I'm assuming that's kind of the age demographic that listens to this. Maybe a little younger, maybe a little bit older, but we're in that age of like we know better now. It's time to start getting our shit together. Maybe. I mean, still hold on to our punk rock spirit. Never grow up completely, but like also we're waking up sore every day. So like, you know, we're not gonna be Gen X where like we sell out. Like we're not gonna put skateboarding in the Olympics. Like the X Games aren't going to be like all corporatized and shit. Like we still want to do things punk rock to a certain extent. But like successful, like we want to be Green Day. I woke up and listened to American Idiot on vinyl this morning for the first time. It was incredible, and everybody should have that. Wake up on a Thursday morning and just get into protest music from a protest rock opera from 2004. That's how we should all start our mornings from time to time, just to really get the spirit kicked up in you. But the point is, like we gotta try, and like that's the point, is like we know better, and even if we fail, like you still have to try. Like I don't know how to turn it off, cool, but like at least try. Like you're gonna fail a lot, like a lot, and that's life. That's being a fucking billionaire, that's assassinating millionaires, that's struggling to pay rent, being a starving artist, comedian in one of the most expensive cities in the country. That's a part of life. Like you're going to fail more than you succeed, but like you just still have to keep failing because you won't succeed until you fail enough, is kind of what it is. So like that's the point. Like we know better. Try to sleep more. You're gonna fail at like sleeping more on time, like having a regular schedule. Like I don't know, I need to stop eating sugar at night, and I know it, and it's something that like I slowly work on. And like last night I didn't eat any candy at night. I had half a bag of goldfish at 10 p.m. That's not bad, or it's not good, it's still bad, but it's not as bad. So like we're trying, all right? Like as long as you try. Like I failed last night, but I like failed better than I would have if I didn't try as hard. Like I had a salad at 9:15. I had dinner at 9:15 at night. I'm like trying to work into my habits here. Trying to be awake when things happen in my industry instead of like fucking waking up at 8:30 and going to bed at 10 o'clock. You gotta adjust what you're doing and how you work if you want to be part of the scene, I guess. But just try, you know? Like if you don't succeed, you try again. Not everybody's a savant at like what they do. Unlike, I mean, they haven't caught him yet. And on this podcast, like if a school shooting happens, we're not going to say the name of the school shooter because that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to get attention, and they want to they're feeling disenfranchised, they're feeling unseen, they want to do something crazy and big like this to get attention. So we would never say their name, right? And that's good because we don't want them to be remembered by history, because that's the last, that's when they should be bullied, is after they do something like that. Sorry that they got bullied beforehand and felt like the only way out was just taking apart an entire community, and maybe we should work on that, but also don't let them get access to firearms. That's probably just as important, maybe more important. Being crazy isn't illegal, but being crazy and shooting people, that's illegal. But what we will do is we'll prop up, violence is not good. I'm not a violent person. I have threatened to fight somebody and leave them permanently damaged within the last month. Actually, directly a month ago today, probably a couple of days hit or miss on that. We'll talk some shit, but generally, I don't like violence. I don't think that it's good. But it's part of human spirit, and eventually, sometimes that's the only language that these people speak is money and violence. And these people, I mean the oligarchs, whatever you want to do it, tomato, Really, the people who run our country and are in charge of all the terrible things that we stand for now as a nation, they only speak in money and violence, and that's fine because like that's kind of how the world has always worked as human beings. Whoever has the most resources and whoever is able to defend those resources, the best is in charge. That's kind of the way that it's been set up ever. Again, we are at least 10,000 years into society. It gets older and older all the time. Open your third eye, people. If like carbon dating isn't 100% right, but like we keep finding civilizations that are older and older. So either the Earth isn't as old as we think it is, or humans are older than we think they are. But regardless, we're at least 10,000 years into this whole human society thing, and I don't know. We know better now, you know? Like, we had that whole Jesus guy about 2,000 years ago or so, and he was like, hey, we can try to be cool and like try to be better and like love thy neighbor, be cool, like turn the other, like he's teaching us passive nonviolence and how to deal with people, and I mean, trying to get the meek shall inherit the earth. Like that's what he wants, is a bunch of people who maybe talk shit, but like back down at the end, and then things keep going forward. Maybe that's what he was talking about with like the internet and social media and all these crypto fucking losers. That like, oh, the meek because they're weak. The weak shall inherit the earth is maybe what he meant. Maybe that's what these fucking tech nerds think. But anyways, but like violence, we're not gonna celebrate it very often, unless it's like an orca taking down a billionaire's yacht in the ocean. Or it just happened yesterday, December 4th, today's the 5th, and depending on when you listen to this, it's that day, but on December 4th, I know it's like stupid fucking, in the future, but like it's the day after one of my favorite things to happen in quite a while to happen. And like you feel bad for his family, you feel bad for him, I guess, his friends. But I mean, if you, like, this is what we need as a society. And I put it on Threads today of and we'll get to like exactly what it is. I'm burying the lead a little bit. We're building suspense. It's entertainment, people. You can't just come right out and say it. You got to build it up. I almost kind of want you to be a little frustrated. Just say it and get to the point. No, stupids. This is the internet. We got to keep retention high. And I understand undermining the whole point of it is kind of my whole thing. But hey, who's the biggest hypocrite we know here? It's me. But I try. I'm trying. You gotta try, as John Mayer of the John Mayer Trio once said. But no, like, as long as we're going to live, like, I like the world that we're in right now, where, like, we know that the people in charge, the oligarchs, the government, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, even, like, none of them care about the citizenry. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't care what we're into. They want us. We're a resource to them, and they want us to work for as cheap as possible for as long as possible, so they make more money, and then the ball keeps rolling. And like Donald Trump being president, all the people that he's putting in charge of all the governmental stuff, that just proves that they don't, like, the people who actually choose what happens in this country do not care about the citizenry. They want to make sure that the ball keeps rolling and they keep making money no matter what happens to us, as long as their nut keeps getting bigger, you know? And I'm okay with that, because it's like, we've lived in this world forever, right? Like, absolutely forever. It's whoever's been in charge sets the rules, and we live in that, and until we decide to get up and fucking throw a fucking guillotine in the middle of, like, on Michigan Ave, like, nothing's gonna happen. And I mean, look at France. Nothing really happened. All of, like, yes, they killed some of them, but the rest of them ended up in charge anyway. So, I mean, it is what it is, but at least they got to kill some people. And I think that's kind of what is going on now. Because yesterday, in New York City, the CEO of United Healthcare, and again, we're not going to say his name, because fuck him. Like, we're not going to prop up violent people, or people who are a problem to society. I refuse to give that man his due. He was the CEO of an insurance company that turns down 23% of their claims. They're one of the largest insurance companies in the nation, and my insurance company, and fuck them, honestly, and fuck this guy. Because apparently, what this CEO of United Healthcare, who was shot yesterday on his way to a meeting in New York City. It's like the annual shareholder meeting for United Healthcare, and apparently he had like just gotten done with a workout, got dressed, and was on his way to this meeting at 6:45 in the morning. He's on his way to a shareholder meeting, and somebody shoots him 3 times in the back and the leg. Now, shooting him in the back, fuck it. Like, that's not very gentlemanly, if we will. But I mean, also, like, that's how you take down a pig. All right, you sneak up on it. You don't want the fear to ruin the meat. And like, whatever. Like, you don't want just like random shootings to happen in the street. That's uncouth. Like, that's not very demure. That's not very tasteful. But if it's going to be a guy in a ski mask, dressed like an assassin from a John Wick movie or whatever, he's in a ski mask, he's got a silencer and a backpack. I saw some dude who was like in the military be like, this guy's a legitimate professional, because he knew that, like, I guess if you have a suppressor on the gun, there won't be enough of like a recoil for it to dislodge the last bullet, so you have to hand clear the last shell. And this guy did it 3 times in a row. And good for that guy. Like, they haven't found him yet. They've got some pictures of him, like at gas stations and shit beforehand while he's like kicking it. He used like an e-bike to disappear afterwards, so like he didn't even use public transportation. Like, he just like got on his own e-bike and disappeared after shooting this guy. And like, you know that it was a certified hit, because like apparently, and again, this might be disinformation, but I saw that like this CEO recently was like going through like some low level scandal. Like, him and a few of the other people on the board just like offloaded a bunch of their shares, making millions of dollars off of selling their shares at like an inflated rate. And then like, we're also like getting ready to turn down a bunch of shit. And then like the same day that this guy got shot, like Blue Cross Blue Shield came out and said they're not like covering anesthetics for like anesthesia is anesthetic. Yeah, anesthesia. See, this is so dumb that like I feel like I'm qualified to talk about any of this. But like Blue Cross Blue Shield came out and said that they're not covering anesthesia all the way through some surgeries unless they like approve it. So like, you're gonna be stuck paying for like the drug that keeps you under while you're getting surgery, which is madness. And it's just like, this is why CEOs need to get shot, and that's okay. Like, that's why I'm fine with this dynamic. Like, treat us like shit, but like, keep your head on a swivel, because now I feel like this is the way that it's going to be. Like, the race war is kind of kicking off a little bit on a low level. Like, they're winning right now, obviously, because like, we've got podcasts that a handful of people listen to. They've got media companies, they've got the food that they turn to poison, they've got all of the weapons, they've got everything. But from time to time, they'll get caught slipping. Their head will not be on a swivel, and they'll just get capped in the street like a dog, like they are. And the best part, like, this guy is a fucking hero. The guy who got him, and it's already like, merch is already popping up, and I want to make sure that money gets to him somehow. because he wrote on and he like left the shell casings there, which is incredible. And on them it said defend, deny, depose. So like this was definite. Like they know it was a targeted shooting at this point. Like the guy had a stakeout for him, but like he had defend, deny, depose on the bullets. And I have never been more sure in my life that the person who did this killing is Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri, however you want to do it, host of Triple D, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, is the guy who did this. Defend, deny, depose, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, Triple D. Open your third eye, people. Come on now. And like that makes so much sense for what Guy Fieri has been spending the last 20 years of his life doing. He drives around the country, being cool, having spiky hair, having sunglasses, being the real everyman. Maybe he's a little loud, maybe he's a little obnoxious, maybe he's a little too Italian to be doing that. But like if you're gonna be the cover for like an international super soldier, this is maybe the best way to do it. He drove all over the country, propping up small businesses, and then in his spare time, now he assassinates oligarchs all around the country. Like he's the hero we need right now. Like he's making sure that Small Business Saturday is every day by eliminating the competition, which is big business oligarchs. And that's so cool because like the more successful he gets, the more rich people he meets, and the ability of access that he has to these people to off them. So like it's incredible. So like there has never been something more important than making sure that Guy Fieri gets more successful. He's the Boondock Saints. Guy Fieri is the Boondock Saints himself. Defend, deny, depose is incredible. And I think it's going to be a rallying call for certain people. And I mean, it's kind of fucked up to be like this excited about somebody getting murdered in the streets. But it's not like a normal person. You know, like when fucking like Eric Garner and all of those black people with a capital B, that the cops just like straight up murder in the middle of the street over like bullshit like selling loose cigarettes or not listening or whatever, and then they just decide that they can kill you for no reason because like they're the law enforcement. They get to be judge, jury, and executioner just because they have a small dick complex. But like they just kill people on the street, and then they have like fucking thin blue line flags everywhere, and like people are like, well, he should have complied, he should have listened. And then like now a guy's getting gunned down in the street, and it's hilarious because the only people who don't think it's cool are the same people that defend billionaires, because they think that they could end up being a CEO of an insurance company, and then like when their house burns down or whatever, and then like the insurance doesn't cover it, they're like, the government's fucking me. And it's like, it's not the government, it's insurance companies that like the government is supposed to keep in line, but because people like you vote the way that you do and think that you are going to be in charge of a multi-billion-dollar business at some point, you think that they should be unchecked, because when you become a billionaire, you don't want to be checked by the stupid government, and it's just a cycle that you started yourself. But like, I don't know, there's got to be like, that's the only problem with not knowing who this guy is. It's like, we can't make flags. We can't be like, we can't thin blue flag this. We can't be like, well, how did he talk to him? Was he disrespectful? Did he follow orders? And it's like, that's why I want Guy Fieri to be this guy. Like, in my mind, this guy said something bad about Flavortown, and Guy's like, enough's enough, and then just fucking capped this guy and killed him. Shout out Guy Fieri. You know, that's what we need. He's not the leader we deserve. He's the leader that we need right now. He's Batman, but he kills people with spiked hair. Like, that's what he needs to do, is have like spiked hair coming out of the ski mask. Like, he needed to have, and I know that would give it away, but like people would be like, there's no way it's Guy Fieri that does this. Another blonde millionaire. Open your third eyes, people. These blondes, they're coming to get us. We cannot trust them. But no, there's a merch store for the Defend, Deny, Depose. It's not my merch, so like you guys can be more than willing to support it, because God forbid I say it's mine. Like it's definitely not. I have nothing attached to it. Unlike my Baked Alaska shirts, my Baked in Alaska 2025 shirts that I'm using to raise money for my trip to Alaska at the comedy festival that nobody's bought yet, which is fine. I mean, it's not for another 4 months or so. So I mean, no rush to buy those. I mean, it would be nice if you bought some. Those are through RayRobertsComedy.com. Hit the shop tab. It'll take you right to it. And I mean, I hand drew something. So like, I don't want you to think that the Defend, Deny, Depose stuff is under my umbrella. It's not. But if you search it, like, there is merch for it. And I hope that merch is going to that guy. Because if they catch him, he's going to need a good lawyer. But I have a feeling like they're not going to catch him, because it's probably another rich person who paid him to do that. Or we have like a super cool vigilante underway. And we need that. I do know one of my favorite television shows is Bones, and there's a string of episodes about they call him the Hand of God. His name's Jake. What's his last name? He's a sniper. He sniped with Booth. And like he just goes and like kills bad people, and like he'll call somebody and be like, hey, for $10,000 I'll kill this person. And then they're like, yeah, for $10,000, there's nothing more I would love than that. And then he goes and kills these bad people, which is great. Like, you think that that's good, but like, you can't decide for that. And he, like, where he went off the rails is he started killing other people to like get to these people. So like, he's not a good person, but you kind of root for him. Like back in the 20s, like when they like were super into bank robbers, they're like, finally somebody's getting these banks. And now if somebody robs a bank, you're like, well, you know, there's better ways to do it. And it's like, there's not better ways to do it. Fucking rob the bank. Oh, there's better ways to do change than killing CEOs. Haven't worked yet. Kill as many CEOs as you can. Fuck it, right? Like, eat the rich. And now it's starting to happen, and like, you see fucking fake people just being like, there's nothing funny about somebody losing their life. And it's like, you also have like a fucking thin blue line thing. You make fun of all of like the regular people that are murdered by the state regularly. So who are you to tell me not to enjoy a CEO of a company that gets rich off of the backs of other people by denying their healthcare claims that most of them need? Like, I have United Healthcare, and I have a procedure coming up in 3 weeks from today that UH isn't covering. Now, thankfully, Planned Parenthood has a sliding scale where it's only going to cost me like $150 total, but UH refuses to cover it unless I go to the doctor. The doctor says it's okay, then the doctor submits it to insurance. Like, they want to make sure that I have to pay as much money as possible, and they have to pay as little as possible, which is like how businesses work. But like, this is health. This is people's thing. And if you're gonna do fuck shit, you're gonna get shot in the fucking street like you deserve. And unfortunately, we can't shoot United Healthcare. It's a business. Businesses are not people. Whether or not the Supreme Court of this country thinks that they are and should be able to use billions of dollars to sway elections and whatnot. But United Healthcare isn't a person. Do you know who is a person? The CEO of United Healthcare. And we can for sure cap the fuck out of that guy. And that's what we need to do. These oligarchs and these CEOs need to be terrified. I want them not to be able to leave their houses. I want them not to be able to send their kids. Like, I saw a TikTok of the people who go to SMU, all these fucking 18 and 19-year-old kids that are like, my dad's got a yacht. My dad runs, like, gas companies. My dad is, like, a billionaire fucking marketing guy. Like, they're all of these, like, kids that go to Southern Methodist University in Texas, like half of them already have like a handful of houses and like properties. So like their parents buy them this shit, and that's how generational wealth goes through. I'm not unaware of that. I'm not ignorant to the fact of how generational wealth works. But wouldn't it be nice just for like the rest of our, like a 20-year chunk of time? I'm 34. Since the turn of the century, we've been afraid, I guess. Like, that's been like the big currency is fear, to get us to buy things. Like, that's what stops the terrorist, is buying things. That's what stops the pandemic, is getting checks to like buy more things on Amazon. That's what's gonna get us out of Trump, is buying more things, giving the Democrats more money. It's always about like, that's what's gonna fix it, is like buying things will make you feel less fear. But I think shooting CEOs gives me less fear. Like, we've been afraid for over 2 decades as a citizenry. Isn't it nice to know that like there's a bunch of phone calls going on right now for CEOs of other major companies getting like security forces? Like, they're gonna have to pay a bunch of money to get security. Now, I understand that like the arms race between the citizenry and the oligarchs is going to like end up at a powder keg moment at some point, because like they'll keep hiring stronger and stronger forces. It's going to look like South America, where all of these people are running around with like submachine guns on their cars, just traveling from place to place for these meetings. But I want them to have to do that. Like, if they're going to treat us like a scourge on society, I want them to like actually be terrified to leave their houses. I want them to have to like make tunnels from their office to wherever their private jet is. Like, I want them to not feel comfortable. Like, send them to the middle of nowhere where like they're not gonna run into people, and like they'll still be able to run society. But like, I don't know, like we'll be able to have like shelter cities away from them. Like, they'll go to places where there's not as many people, because they won't have to like feel scared as much. And then like, out of sight, out of mind, maybe we can like make our own little shadow governments underneath that. But the important thing is we want them scared as much as possible. Now, does that mean that they'll tighten the clamps on us? Sure. Does that mean that life will be a little bit more difficult and they'll treat us worse? Yeah, sure. But like, that's the other side of being treated like shit for decades upon decades, is like, what, they're gonna tighten the screws a little bit more. Like, you're gonna be a little more hungry. You're not gonna be able to afford to go to Disney World. Like, what are they gonna do? Take away Cedar Point during the summer? Like, you're not gonna be able to afford that. But once every 6 to 7 months, a CEO gets shot in the street. Like, doesn't that seem kind of worth it? Like, I would give up amusement parks if we were guaranteed one sacrifice of a CEO at a certain point. Look, if they dragged Elon Musk out like down Michigan Avenue right here to the guillotine, it'd be better if it was a trebuchet. Like, if we trebucheted him straight into Lake Michigan, I guarantee you that would be prime time. Like, that would be viewing history. That would be amazing. Now, would it be weird, like the backlash from Cybertruck weirdos and fucking anybody who's like super into Tesla, but like they know that this guy is an asshole, but like own a bunch of Tesla stock and then like try to say that they're an artist of any sort? That's too pointed to not be one person, but I know multiple people of who that is, and like, get your head straight, you fucking capitalist weirdo. But like, weirdos, actually, because it is at least 3 to 4 people that I know. Text me personally, I don't care. That's what I think of you, that's what other people think of you. Because we know that you just gotta try. We know that you're better. Just try. You're gonna fail. You're still gonna buy Tesla stock. Nobody's telling you not to be part of the capitalist society. We're stuck in it. Just don't be a capitalist and then pretend to be something different. Like, don't pretend that you're speaking truth to power when you're just speaking truth to power when it's a woman, and then you own stock of the richest man in the world. How about that? Like, because she won't hear you, but all the other people in the world seeing you deep throat Elon Musk and then talking shit about somebody who's way less influential than he is, will see that and judge you. And is it sexist? Maybe a little bit. But like also I talk a bunch of shit about the same people that you talk about shit about. But also like I want Elon Musk to be trebucheted into Lake Michigan. So like I'm not sexist. I hate everybody, you know, to be one of those people. But I don't hate everybody. I actually love everybody. It's the fucks like Elon Musk and the CEO of the insurance company that ruin it for everybody. We gotta stop treating, like, move with love in the world, but like, you gotta prune, roses only look good because you gotta prune the dead petals off. Like, they only grow the best when you get rid of the sick and dead petals. And we're not talking about actual sick people. I'm talking about sick in the head people who use slave labor to make billions of dollars and weasel their way into a government program where they can control the citizenry even more. That's who I'm talking about as a sick individual. But anyways, we're pro CEOs getting shot on this podcast. And that's incredible, and I want it to keep happening. Would it be better if, like, the citizenry, like, if we could have nice things and kill CEOs at the same time? Great, sure. That's a perfect world that doesn't exist. Would it be great if, like, billionaires and, like, these trillion-dollar companies didn't, like, if big life insurance and health insurance companies didn't exist? Sure, that'd be incredible if we didn't need that as a society. And we don't, but like, whatever, that's how it's made right now, and we're stuck in the system. Like, that'd be great if those didn't even exist, so we wouldn't have to shoot people in the middle of the street. We can all agree on that. But like, again, that's the world we live in. We're just trying to make it better. Like, we can't make it better overnight. Like, step one is start shooting them in the street. Step two is maybe they get their shit together, you know? Unrelated. Like, whatever. This is the dumbest podcast in the world. Thank you for listening to it, I guess. We got another thing. I gotta start doing stuff in the middle of this, so like maybe you're still listening instead of the end. RayRobertsComedy.com. If you're in Chicago, I got a show tonight at, what's it called? Emerald City Coffee. That's at 8. BYOB, it's free, whatever. And then tomorrow I'm in Janesville, Wisconsin, doing the roast of Santa Claus. Next week I am in Door County, Wisconsin on Thursday, doing a strictly PG-13 show for old people at a resort in Door County, Wisconsin. I can't imagine that that's going to end well. It's 20-25 minutes. I can do it. Like, PG-13, whatever. We've done it before. And half the time they don't even want it to be that clean. It's just like the place wants it to be clean, and because like one person complained one time, so we'll weasel it out of them. And then anniversary dinner, her graduation. We'll talk about that probably next week. We've got a bunch of cool shit this month, and the big one, January 17th at Room 13 in the Old Chicago Inn in Lakeview, Chicago. Was That Good For You? It's the show that Devin Glass and I are putting on together. It is a small, intimate show. It's an incredible lineup. We got Grace Baylor hosting. She's like the best host in Chicago, and she's very funny. And those are two separate things. She does them both. And headlining is Tyler Fowler, and then like Devin and I, and then his roommate Gabriel doing the show as well. And it's going to be fun. There's also a guest spot. I don't have his info on me currently, but it's going to be cool. So if you got nothing going on and you need a reason to come to Chicago in January, Friday the 17th, come to it. It'll be fun. Tickets are limited, so get them. And then Ray Roberts Comedy for all the rest of my shows, merch, the Alaska shirt, all that good stuff. Share this, subscribe, whatever. But unironically, the last thing I want to talk about, I listened to a podcast about it, because I love music documentaries, right? Like, I think that they are the best documentary. They do like the best A well done music documentary is better than any other documentary. I'll rewatch them time and time again, and I don't even really have to care that much about the music. Like I watched one about the World Class Wrecking Crew, which is like a group of session musicians back in the day. I think it was like the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere in there. Like all of these guys were like the best musicians of all time. They would show up. They're on like all of your favorite records from that time. But like they're session musicians, so they don't super get the credit for it, just like the famous person does. But like music documentaries, like when done well, are the best because you can rewatch them and you like learn something new every time. But I listened to a movie podcast about it, about this documentary. It's a yacht rock documentary, and it's spelled documentary like DOCK-umentary, because it's for yacht rock. And I've never really understood what yacht rock was. I understand that like now it's like and they kind of go into it in the as you see me talk to my computer instead of the camera, like they go into like the history of yacht rock and what yacht rock is, and like how it's like a niche fun thing to be a part of now, where like back then it was just kind of like a way of music, and now it's kind of like a parody of itself. Like the people who are involved in it, it's kind of like making fun of itself. And it's like a bunch of like rich people, and it's like music that is like, they say it's yacht rock because it's music that like you can listen to on your yacht and like jam out, but like it's not like hard rock. And these guys are like legit musicians. So it's not like, I don't know, it's not like the most life-changing music, but it's like very fun. Like Steely Dan is like their apex mountain of who the best yacht rock band is. And then like the Doobie Brothers, like the later part that they were doing was yacht rock. Who were the other ones? Like Christopher Columbus, I think his name, Christopher Clark, something like that. That might be a comic from Canton. But like this shout out to Chris if he's watching for some reason. He worked at like an orthodontist or some shit like that. Or an optician. What's the one? Optician? Yeah, an optician. The one that does eyes. I talked to him about LASIK before. Very nice guy. Funny comic when he was doing it. I don't know if he does it anymore. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, like the people on the thing. And so it's fun. It's like Steely Dan, older Doobie Brothers. There was like Michael McDonald, who fucking rips. Kenny Loggins, like those people. That's what the kind of music is. And they just do a great job on this documentary. Like they have the people explaining like why it's like a phenomenon now. How like nobody, like people will wear like captain's hats and like go to boat parties and listen to yacht rock now, and they're like, nobody wore captain's hats listening to that music. And like if anything, it was kind of like a counterculture kind of thing, where it was just like really good musicians that like came up with this stuff. Like it was a lot of them were like session musicians in LA that like came up with this kind of style that was, it's like, it's nerdy, like it is. Like, yeah, of course, like, rich people are going to be in on it now because it's called yacht rock. But, like, it was kind of like, this is, like, rock, but not really rock. It's, like, smart, but not really. Like, it's, like, a perfectly good. And, like, listening to it, when they explain it, you're like, oh, okay. Like, I actually kind of like this. And it's not like I've ever been against Steely Dan, per se, but I've never really thought of, like, Steely Dan as, like, high-level music and, like, changing genres and stuff like that until I watched this documentary, and you're like, I guess they did. And then they'll be like but then they'll like, this is where music documentaries are super fun, because they'll be like, and then this guy was doing some like genre bending of yacht rock, and then you listen to the song and it's the same fucking song, but like he's got like an extra like chaka somewhere in there. And it's like, that's what makes music documentaries so fun, is they like take something that like we all love. Everybody loves music. If you don't love music, you're a fucking psychopath. But like we love it, and then they like find something interesting that like you would never really think about, and then they break it down. Like I know more like Michael McDonald. I've listened to more Michael McDonald music in the last 24 hours, and I started watching this documentary at like 10 o'clock last night. And it's not like I've been listening to Michael McDonald on my phone. I just heard a bunch of Michael McDonald songs on this documentary, and you're like, this guy actually fucking rips. Like, he's got the ho 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 voice that like people love to make fun of. But he fucking crushes. Like, he's so good at music, and you can like, and they're like, how do you know if it's a yacht rock song? If you can hear Michael McDonald's voice on it, which is how I probably should have led this off for you to know. But like, yeah, man, he fucking rules. And it's very fun. Like, it's like a very fun, like silly kind of music. And like, Toto, the Winds Down in Africa guys, they were a super big yacht rock band, and like they were bigger as like session musicians, and like they were such musicians that they were like, yeah, Toto's cool, like it's fun to be rock stars, but like we still wanted to be session musicians because we just loved music, and like we never wanted, like we knew that like stardom would fall apart at some point, so we wanted to keep our session musicianship going. And you're like, that's so fucking cool to have somebody be like, yeah, like we're touring the world, but like when we're back in LA, we're doing session work and not even like writing our own stuff and like doing that. Like, that's kind of fun. Like, yeah, you would want to be like super artsy and like do your own thing, but like the only reason that they came up with their shit is like they had to learn a million different kinds of music. And like the documentary kind of like points a parallel to like yacht rock being kind of like the white R&B, and it kind of is, because it'll be like the one guy's like, yeah, I heard fucking Stevie Wonder do a song and I wanted to know how I made my voice sound like that. And they're talking about how Michael McDonald is like the only white person who can like testify, like he's in Sunday church, and like then you hear him do it on like a song and you're like, oh, this fucking, like, this is an R&B song. And so it just like takes this thing that like people think is kind of a silly niche thing, and then like makes it a real thing. It's like when you go to the art museum, not with an art critic, but somebody who's like an art historian, and they're like, this is kind of the idea. It's not even an art historian, but like when you look at a painting, right, and you're like, I don't know what's going on with this, and then you like read the artist's description of it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, now I kind of, and like you want to put your own ideas into art, like that's what they're made for, but like knowing what they're trying to do is also interesting. Like, oh, I don't think they quite got there, but like what they're doing is very interesting, and they're trying. Like, I watched last night on Pablo Torre Finds Out. If you don't watch or listen to Pablo Torre Finds Out, if you don't like sports, it's not always about sports. Like, it's sports adjacent. Like last night, he had an art critic on, and they critiqued sports statues. So like the Dwayne Wade statue, they did the Rocky statue, they did the Michael Jordan statue, which I want to go and see since I live here. That's probably something that I should do. But like they went over that. But like the first half, they talk about this guy's art critic stuff, and he was talking about like easily reproducible art. His point was that like the guy who painted the Obama presidential painting is like a hack, and like it's a shitty painting. Like, it's a good painting, but like it means nothing. It's like hollow, and he's kind of just like reproduced that multiple times. And like his example is like, yeah, it's very neat that he put like a black woman in the place of Napoleon to make a point, but like it'd be better if it was a better painting. And like I love that shit. So like if that guy is like sitting there and he's just like, yeah, I see what you're doing, I understand what you're doing, but like you're not going for anything. Like, yeah, you nailed it right on the head. You made a painting of Barack Obama that looks pretty, but like you weren't going for anything, and that's kind of cool. And that's like the same thing with like this yacht rock is like, yeah, maybe it's not like my favorite music, but now if I like hear Steely Dan in like the grocery store, I'll be like, oh yeah, fuck, like this is what they're going for. Like, maybe I'm not gonna sit and listen to Michael McDonald, But if he comes on, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, dude, you fucking sing that shit. You did it. Like, you crushed it. Shout out to you. And shout out to all of us. We're doing it. We're at least trying. We're failing a lot, but we're gonna at least try. I don't know. RayRobertsComedy.com. This is a fun one. I had fun. RayRobertsComedy.com. We're not going to do the whole pitch again. Rate, review, subscribe, all that other shit. I hope everything's going well. I hope your Thanksgiving was good. I hope you're looking forward to Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Rosh Hashanah, if that's soon. Chinese New Year is sometime in April. 4th of July is coming up right around the corner. Heritage Day, if you celebrate in Kent, that's always right around 4th of July. But yeah, I hope you enjoy everything. I hope life's going well. Don't let the man get you down. And if all else fails, shoot a CEO in the street. But no, thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your day and have a good weekend. Bye!